What's going on, Facebook, YouTube, podcast listeners? We are here with Antoine Martel today of Martel Turnkey. We're switching up a little bit. We're talking more about real estate investing, how to get started in real estate investing, what agents should be doing real estate investing. And I'm excited because I don't know if you know this, I love real estate investing. So Antoine, welcome on the show. For my people who don't know who you are, give me your elevator pitch.
Sure. So my name is Antoine Martel. I'm an out-of-state real estate investor. I live in Los Angeles, but invest all across the Midwest. I have a turnkey rental property company, which pretty much means that I buy houses, renovate them, rent them out, put a property management company in place, and then sell them as turnkey investments to investors who are looking for cash flowing real estate assets.
All right. Now, how did you get started in this game?
Sure. So it was about 4 years ago. I started learning about real estate. Me, my dad, and my brother went to like a flip this house kind of course. We learned, how to place offers, how to underwrite deals, how to look at deals, how to find deals. It kind of built up our confidence. And we were in San Francisco at the time. We started making offers, 20 offers a month, trying to find houses to flip. And quickly we realized that we didn't have enough money in the bank to be able to compete with anybody. With 40 or 50 grand in the bank and you're competing with people with $1 million or $2 million, they're going to beat us out every single time. So after 6 months of looking at, what our offers were and what the properties closed for, we kind of moved away from that. I kind of took the reins then and started networking and reaching out to people who were in San Francisco, and every single meetup I went to was out of state investing. And, people kind of realized that investing locally was way too rough. So people started investing out of state and they were sharing their stories and experiences. I found somebody who I kind of tagged along with and kind of learned how he was flipping houses out of state. And then it kind of just took it from there. And I focused on out of state real estate investing for the next 2 years, just learning. Didn't put any money into any deal or buy any houses for 2 years straight, just learning the whole entire time. And then once I felt like I was ready, and it was actually my last semester in college down here in Los Angeles, I bought my first house out of state. We bought it, we renovated it, rented it out, and then we did a cash out refinance. And ever since that, it's just kind of been a snowball effect from there.
I love it. Good stuff. So we deal with a lot of out-of-state investors, right? Because San Antonio is one of those markets that people are investing in. Yeah. But we also see a lot of people get burned when they're trying to invest out of state. So what are some things that you think people should look for and keep in mind if they're going to put their money in a different area?
Yeah. So out of state, the most important thing is just having the team on the ground who is a reflection of you. So because you're not going to be there, you can't be there for every single little thing that happens. You need to find a good property management company, good contractor, a good realtor to help you find deals. And if you need to get out of a deal, you also want a realtor who can help you do that too. So I would say the most important thing is just your team, because they're you on the ground.
So what are some things that you look for when you're building that team, right? Or what are some thing like instances that you've had that haven't worked out so people can maybe learn from that?
Sure. So just for me, most important thing is work ethic and communication. So, I'd rather have a team that communicates with me every single day on every single little thing than, getting a email blast once a month about what's going on. And you also want to find a team that vibes with you a little bit, maybe the same age or the same goals in the future. And that's one of the things that I ask when I'm interviewing my teams is, what's your goal with this property management company? What's your goal with being a realtor? What do you want to do in 10 years? And the people that I have set up on the ground all have the same goals for me. So, not only are we doing business now, but, we're moving into multifamily apartment buildings now. And, the owner of the property management company has an equity stake in my apartment building because when we first met, I asked him what his goals were, and it was investing in multifamily. So, I'm making his dream come true kind of thing.
Now, we have a lot of licensed real estate agents that deal with investors, but we also have a lot of people that are unlicensed that are doing real estate investing. So what do you think the pros and cons of being licensed against being unlicensed are?
So for me, I have a license in California. I've never used it. I just did it for fun. And for investing out of state, it's not needed at all, 0%. If you're investing locally, maybe it makes a little bit more sense. The only reason why it would make more sense is sorry. The only reason why it would make more sense is because you can place as many offers as you want, right? So if you don't have your own real estate license, but you want to invest locally, then you have to find another realtor who's going to be able to make those offers for you. But if you have your own license, you can write offers every minute, and it's a numbers game. Typically, if you're going to invest locally and you're not in the Midwest, it's all a numbers game. So if I was here in LA and trying to flip houses, I would definitely use my real estate license. But investing out of state, it's just finding those people who have the real estate license that you can leverage.
Now, I know we talk a lot about like what investors should look for when, looking for a real estate agent or looking for a partner that's an agent. But I want to ask the opposite question. What do you like? Because as realtors, we get hit up all the time, right? Like, oh, I want to invest. I'm an investor. I have a bunch of money. I'm an investor. What should real estate agents be looking for in an investor before they go spend a bunch of time working with them?
Yeah. So track record and what their goals are too. Right. So because when I contact realtors, I say, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I'm looking to do a deal a month or 2 deals a month when I first started. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then, you want investors who are confident, who are going to make offers and have the cash ready to go. So for those first couple offers, make sure you get a proof of funds, make sure they actually have the money in the bank. And then, just test it out. You never really know who. Some investors talk a big game and then don't actually write on the contracts. Other people are going to talk down upon themselves, but then they're going to make the most amount of offers. So I would say take every new client, and just test them out for a couple of deals. And, if they keep backing out for mysterious reasons and where you think the deals work, then, maybe don't spend too much time with that person and find another investor who, when they're going to make an offer, they're actually going to close and they're not going to back out because, it's raining outside.
I like it. I also think that there are some realtors that are a good fit to work with investors, and there's some that aren't.
Yep.
Right. So
I agree.
I know that we have, agents that don't want to write a bunch of lowball offers, right? They don't want to write 20 offers a week. They don't feel comfortable doing that. And so you have to figure out, like, one, is this investor going to be worth my time? And two, am I a good fit for them?
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing too, is I would just educate yourself a tiny bit on how they're looking at their deals. So, be like, oh, why are you placing that offer? What are you budgeting for repairs? And start to understand their mindset. Because then when you see deals on the MLS, you'll know, okay, this is going to work for Jack. This deal is going to work for Susie. And then you can just email Jack and Susie deals that they maybe have never seen before. And you can come up with the numbers. The best thing for me is a realtor who I share with them my criteria. They already know how real estate investing works and, how to underwrite the deals, and they can go and find deals and they share them with me, and I'll make however many offers they want to get the deals done. But really just you spend some time maybe on Bigger Pockets or using the Bigger Pockets calculator to look at some deals and start underwriting those for yourself. And you don't need to learn a whole lot. You just need to learn how, profit is calculated and what other expenses are involved in a flip or a rental.
So I'm glad you commented on that. I think there are a lot of different rules of thumb out there, right? And you got to be able to look at a deal and quickly figure out whether or not it's pursuing. And then obviously there's the more in-depth numbers. But what are just some quick rules of thumb that you like to look at to figure out what properties are worth diving into?
Yeah, great question. Because a lot of people spend way too much time analyzing, and I try to find a no as soon as I possibly can, so I can focus on other deals that are going to be a yes. So the first thing, so I'm in rental properties. So for rental properties, you want to find a property that has, a 1% rent to value ratio or as close to it as possible. Again, this is impossible on the coasts, but it's very possible in the Midwest. So, and what a rent to value ratio means is you have $100,000 property. That property needs to rent out for $1,000 per month, or else it's not going to be worth pursuing. Some deals are going to make sense. Maybe they'll still make a 10% return, but if you can find a property that is $70,000, it rents out for $800 a month, that's going to be a property that's going to return and be very cash flow heavy, and be worth the investment.
Yeah. And, down here, when I started 3 or 4 years ago, there were a lot more 1% deals.
Yeah.
But our market's appreciated a lot where it's tough to find a 1% deal. And then you also look at like what class of house you're looking for and what rent to value ratio you're looking for, because, the higher rent to value ratio stuff tends to be in the lower class areas. And you got to figure out what your personal preferences, right? Like, how do you want to play? Do you want to play over there? Or do you want to play less return but less problems?
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff do you see people doing?
So I focus a lot on C class. I like high cash flow because I'm fine with the management burden, which is what you're talking about. That's fine with me because I have property management company in place. And if I get a couple emails a month about this tenant did this, that's fine with me. Because I have a scaled portfolio, it doesn't really matter. But I see it being an issue when people have one or two properties, and then one property has an issue with a tenant. Now it's like half of my portfolio is crumbling to the ground because there's just one bad tenant, and it doesn't matter where you are, B class, C class, A class, you're always going to have tenant issues. It's part of the game and part of the game of being a real estate investor. You just got to keep cycling through those tenants until you find one of the keepers who's going to stay there for 50 years and you never have to touch the thing. But in terms of returns in the Midwest, we're seeing like 9%, 8% cap rates for C class properties, and then 6 or 7% cap rates for the B class properties. And I know in Texas it's a little bit lower than that, but you can still find some good deals out there.
Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing stuff that's lower than that. And I have these conversations a lot with investors, and it's like, what are you looking for? Like, do you like the Texas bet, on Texas with the lower returns? So we had 8 to 9% appreciation, in a lot of the past couple of years, which that's where they're seeing a lot of their gain as well. And so, so I know I have an interview process when it comes to figuring out whether or not my market is a good fit. But what are some qualifying questions you think people should be asking themselves or investors when they're figuring out where they want to invest?
Yeah, and that goes back to what you want and what you're looking for. It all goes back to personal preference and what books you read. Because for me, like I follow Grant Cardone, Kiyosaki, all those guys, and those guys say cash flow is king, right? So for me, cash flow is king in my opinion, and especially for me who, I'm 23 years old and, on the path to being financially free. I'm very close. So cash flow has kind of given me that opportunity. So in terms of other markets, maybe in Austin, Texas or Nashville, where you're more speculating on appreciation, I focus on markets that have zero appreciation, but are all cash flow. Because every month I get a paycheck instead of holding a property for 5 or 10 years and then getting a huge lump sum of money, then I need to go and do it over again. So that's why for me, cash flow is more important for me because I see the results right away and I can use that cash to fuel the business even more.
I love it personally, but it is a funny conversation I have on a fairly regular basis now. It's this cash flow versus equity play, and cash flow is king, right? I mean, we're all in the pursuit of cash flow. On the same hand, most of the successful investors, and when I look at what people have done, their biggest gain has come from the equity, right? So if we have a property that cash flows $4,000 a year, right? Something like that. And then they have some issues or something that can get eaten into pretty quick. And then a lot of times they're making bigger money on the equity on the exit to roll into the next one. And then you roll your equity enough, you get cash flow. So it is like cash flow is king. We're all in pursuit of cash flow. But the equity play, if you can do it right, has seemed like it's been very successful for some people.
Yeah. But that's also because the market for the last 10 years has been nothing but up. So what's going to happen is that people are going to have that same mentality. And what I'm nervous of is people are going to buy, continue buying in Austin, Texas or in LA because they see, it's been 20% up the last 7 years. And it's like, I'm going to get a 20% return next year. And it's like, okay, hold on. Look where we are in the cycle. And every market's going through a different cycle too, in my opinion. Like Cleveland hasn't increased hasn't appreciated in the last 10 years since the Depression. So it's still very cheap and affordable. And, even if there is another recession, is Cleveland going to drop even more? I'm not so sure. So every market's kind of going through its own cycle. And, while it has been great the last 10 years for buying properties for appreciation, and everybody would like to rewind the clock to 2009 so they could buy everything. I'm just not so sure that now is the right time to buy for the appreciation play.
All right. I think you got to be strategic, right? Like San Antonio, same thing. I mean, I think, we should be at the top of a market here in San Antonio, but there's still areas in San Antonio that are more poised for appreciation than others. So if you can get both, why not? But I like where your head's at. Time to put money into cash flowing assets. Angie is bringing up Amazon. What do you feel is the opportunity around the whole Amazon HQ2 jazz going on?
So HQ2, I've kind of stayed away from. Yeah, she's saying want to invest in an area where Amazon, it's pricey. Exactly. So strategies, equity gain. Again, I I don't focus on the equity gain part. Those markets that Amazon is building in are already way too expensive for me. And for cash flow, those properties around HQ2 is not going to cash flow. Counter to that, Amazon is also building warehouses in many second tier, third tier cities. And so that's what I've been focusing on is Amazon building these warehouses. These warehouses are going to be distribution facilities. So when you order on Amazon, you'll get the product in one day instead of in 7 days because it's coming from Florida and you live in Texas. There'll be a warehouse in Texas instead. So that's what Amazon's been building. So in Memphis, they're building one warehouse right next to all my properties. In Cleveland, they're building 2 warehouses next to my properties too. So that's going to bring a ton of jobs. People are going to get paid $20-$30 an hour to be working at the warehouse, but it's 3,000 jobs impacting a very small neighborhood. So those are what I'm banking on, and that's what I'm kind of tracking and following.
Yeah, that's been crazy, and you're 1,000% right. I mean, the average the average income, I think, of the HQ2 workers they're going to have like $150,000 employees there, where that's not really your rental cash flow. They're not your tenants, right? Yeah. But on the same hand, the blue collar warehouse jobs are everywhere. And I know, I mean, we have one Northeast San Antonio, and Northeast San Antonio is our high rent to value ratio cash flowing rental market. And so, yeah, that's a great point. Exactly. If you wanted to flip over there because you see prices are going to go up, I mean, that's interesting.
That's interesting to me.
What do you think about what I like to call kind of the long-term flip, right? Like I buy something over there at a price where I can pull out most of my cash on a refi. So I flip it, and instead of selling it, I hold on to it for 2 years, break even, and then hopefully, grab some equity.
Again, that's speculating. I stay away from that. That's speculating. Just with the way the position we are in the market, if your plan is to sell in 2 years, I have no idea. We can be in the gutter in 2 years, and maybe maybe real estate won't be affected. It'll just be the stock market, but because the stock market's way too high on the PE and all that kind of stuff. So I've been staying away from the stock market. But even if the stock market crashes and people are losing their money, it means they're going to spend less and stuff like that too. So it can really slow down our economy and affect everything else.
Let's be honest, like with the current political climates, I mean, anything could happen overnight. And I'm saying either way, right? Like it could be in gangbusters for the next 5 years, or something could happen tomorrow, and like you said, the market could be completely different in 2 years. So it's definitely a tough time to speculate. So
absolutely. And I heard yesterday somebody saying too, it's you need to figure out a way to make money in real estate no matter what the political situation is. And that's exactly what my viewpoint is as well. It doesn't matter who's in office. You need to figure out a way to invest in real estate, or, if you're an agent, to be a real estate agent, no matter what the political party is and what their views are and what's going on in the world. There's always a way to make money in real estate. You just have to figure out what works best for you, for your resources.
I have this conversation a lot with my investment clients because I represent a lot of people that flip. I represent a lot of people that are buying rentals, and they're all like, "What should I do better?" And it's pretty simple. Like, we need to buy things for cheaper, right? Like, I mean, buying right. It sounds cliche, but you make your money when you buy. If you can buy better, you're gonna win. Like the guys that I know that are the most wealthy and do the best aren't necessarily the smartest, sharpest guys in the room. They're just the guys that buy the deals for cheaper. So that's always interesting. But hey,
exactly.
How do you think agents should get involved in investing? Because there's so many real estate agents and there's so few that are investing in real estate.
Yeah, and that still blows my mind to this day. I remember when I first started in real estate investing, I was calling all these markets, trying to find my main golden realtor who could help me, find deals and all that kind of stuff. And I called 100 agents in Memphis, Tennessee. 99 of them didn't know what the hell, how to underwrite it or how to look at numbers on a property, didn't know how to calculate the cash flow on a property. It's like, you live here. You can just go online and go to a rental property calculator, plug in the numbers, and you would be good. We actually even made an app, and it's called a rental property analyzer, and you can go and look at it. So for all you agents out there who want to look how we actually underwrite deals, there's an app on iTunes, on the App Store, not on iTunes, where you can download rental property analyzer to download and see our calculator, what we look for. And I think that agents, you guys have the advantage over many people because you guys know the market like the back of your hand, or you should at least. You know a lot of the transactions, a lot of what the transactions are going for, what properties are worth. So you know how to buy right way more than I do. And that's why one of the key elements on my team is a great real estate agent, because they know what the market's worth. They maybe know what the rents are in the area. They know what taxes are, or they should. They know what insurance is. So they have all this information. They just need to know how to lay it down on a piece of paper and calculate, the P&L for those properties, and just go download that calculator. There's a million of them online that you can find as well. But I think that, agents, if you're in a market that, where cash flow does make sense, you have the advantage over us. You can write a million offers, whereas I can't do so. So you have an advantage play over me because I'm investing out of state and I have to find another agent. If you're doing it all for yourself, just leaves more skin on the meat, more meat on the bone.
Meat on the bone.
Skin on the meat.
What markets are you guys in currently? Like, what are you targeting right now?
So mostly Memphis and Cleveland. I do 5-10 deals a month in each market. And then we're also looking at St. Louis a little bit, Birmingham, Alabama, which has been flying. I tried to get into San Antonio 2 years ago. It was really hard. And it still is probably getting even harder right now. So,
well, we have a problem, I think, right? I can only speak to experience here and talking to people in other markets, but our market is the labor here. So if you want to get work done, we just have the most unreliable labor, I think, in the country. In our housing stock, we have a bunch of housing stock that was built up in the 40s around World War II. And it was like stuff that should have been torn down years ago. And it's just not that great. And it's still, you know what I mean? Like it's still around. And then the foundation problems totally ruin stuff for a lot of people. So, but I mean, economy is great. There's tons of stuff for long-term growth here. Because we're getting all the reverbs from Austin, right? So Austin's peaked, Austin slowed down, and we're the affordable spot that's up and coming and has a bunch of trendy stuff. So that's all great. But it's more, I got to say, I think it's more of a local players game, right? Like our local guys, like you said, that have the access and whatnot in this market can do a lot better. Yeah. But so Memphis versus Nashville, what's the deal there? Like why not Nashville?
Nashville is the Austin, Texas of Tennessee. So you got a huge music scene going on there. You got neighborhoods that are, I've never been to Austin. I need to go. Hopefully next year I'll make it out there, but I don't want to see.
You need to go to San Antonio. That's where you need to go.
And San Antonio too. I'll let you know when I'm there. And all right. But Nashville is, like you said, it's peaked, or it's very close to peaking. There's still some neighborhoods that are still in the process of being gentrified, as I'm sure Austin still has. It's not going to stop because as more neighborhoods get gentrified, then the prices kind of stabilize a little bit more. So that maybe that's what's happening. But Nashville compared to Memphis, Nashville just has a lot more going on. Nashville prices have skyrocketed, whereas Memphis, Tennessee hasn't really seen that pop yet. Memphis is doing a lot in bringing good, stable jobs. But again, they're more blue-collar jobs like the Amazon warehouses that are coming. Memphis also has Memphis International Airport, second largest cargo airport in the world. FedEx headquarters is there. Nike has distribution facilities there too.
That's my buddy Jeremy. I'm actually trying to find something to invest in between here and Austin because Austin's tough right now.
Yeah. So I mean, again, Nashville's the Austin, Texas of Tennessee, and Memphis is more of the blue collar, stable cash flow market. There's a lot of, you can't find any cash flow in Nashville, just like Austin. But in Nashville, there's been a ton of house flippers and, who are selling properties for $200,000-$300,000. So it's been really big, and there's a huge like millennial growth in Nashville as well.
So when you're identifying a market, what kind of are some good metrics that you're looking for to say, hey, this is a good cash flow market to invest in?
So the first thing is the price to rent ratio. You want it, again, to be close to 1.0 as possible. To find that, you can just go to Zillow. You can type in any market, San Antonio, Texas, and you can go to Zillow, and Zillow is going to show the median price for a house, the median rent for a property. And then you can look at that number. And if it's like 0.8 or 0.9 or 0.7, then you're going to know, okay, this city could be a cash flow market, has the potential of being a cash flow market. Then from there, that's going to cut off like 70% of the markets in the US right there, just with that one thing. And then after that, I look at population growth, job growth. I look at the employers there. I look at what the city's doing to bring more jobs to the area. So are they giving tax incentives for companies to move there? What are those tax incentives? Many cities have what's called economic development committees who are actually reaching out to businesses, S&P 500 companies, and saying, hey, come to Cleveland. Hey, come to Memphis. We'll give you 30-year tax free. We'll help you find land. We'll help you do all this stuff. So that is something I look for in a city. And then it gets really micro onto, what neighborhoods you're looking for, what neighborhood is best for cash flow, what's the C-class neighborhood or what's the B-class neighborhood, and then really working with your property management company and the team to find what neighborhood is best.
I like it. I was working with a hedge fund. It was, it wasn't a hedge fund. It was some guys that were quants, and then they started their own little house buying thing. And yeah, Austin is not doing that. They're not doing anything. They've got enough business. They're not incentivizing anybody. But no, in what they looked at a ton of different, they were using algorithms and whatnot, and just plug in a bunch of different data points in to try to figure out where the neighborhoods were going to be that popped and buy them and whatever, which I've seen plenty of people come in and try to do that. So I'm not sure what the success rate is. We talk about Open Doors and some of these other ones. Like we have Open Door buying one of our listings right now. And there's I don't see any way that they're actually going to make money buying it. So all that stuff's interesting. But one of the things that they used as a metric, one of their main metrics that I thought was interesting because it worked, right? I worked with these guys 2 years ago and got to look at the places they were looking at and then got to see how they did over the 2 years. They were 1,000% right. But they were looking at coffee shops, right? So like where were Starbucks opening up and where were different coffee shops opening up. And then that was a metric that told them, okay, we need to buy in this area. And so I always thought that was an interesting one. Because if you can find good foods, Whole Foods, so if you can find good cash flow markets that also have some of these other things behind them, it's like that's always an interesting thing to do.
Yeah, so. Sure. I like that too because one of the I'm buying an apartment building right now in Memphis, Tennessee, and down the street is an Urban Outfitters, and then on the other side, there's those little because who those people are targeting, and those companies are spending a whole lot of money to know, is this the right place to build our whatever it is, retail store or whatever it may be. So, they're doing all the research. So just bank on their research and what they're doing. If Whole Foods is going to go build a new Whole Foods, damn well they did their homework on that market. And that may be
leverage somebody else's work. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And I do that all the time. And then that's why I mentioned the Amazon warehouses, because Amazon, they're doing a lot of research on especially which neighborhood we need to put this in, because those are going to be the blue collar workers who are going to be able to live close by and go to work and be at work on time because they don't have to drive across the whole city. So I would recommend following those Amazon warehouses. And it's very hard to find out where they're going to do it. But if you can find that list and send it to me, and also
so for sure one of those that's funny. So I think we're at an interesting point kind of in the market, and everybody has their predictions and everybody wants to be right, but I think we are coming to an interesting point just because of appreciation over the last 7-8 years. And interest rates, right? Cap rates on multifamily have been so compressed that I don't see how it continues. So people are like, hey, what are you looking for in a cap rate? And it's like, okay, you get a 5 cap, but none of that includes interest rates, right? And so stuff that made sense at a 5 cap yesterday for some big investor is not going to make sense at a 5 cap when they're getting 6% money. And so, how do you see all this playing out? Because I think I have a feeling that we're going to see a little bit of a multifamily bubble, commercial bubble. But I'm not a commercial guy, so I'm just throwing my 2 cents out there.
So I agree with you. I think with especially cap rates, like you look at almost every state besides some states in the Midwest, you're going to get 4, 5, 6 caps. Now the interest rate for commercial properties is anywhere from a 5 to a 6%, but that's right now. Next year, who knows what the hell that's going to be. So if that interest rate keeps going up to 6 or 7, that's going to kill a lot of real estate deals. It's also going to kill a lot of the people who bought 3 or 4 years ago and now are trying to do the cash out refinance, who banked on appreciation to cash out those deals, and now they're not going to be able to cash it out because the property is not going to make sense cash flow wise. So they're either going to sell that property, at the price they bought it, or very close to what they acquired it for, and not make much of a spread. And the people who are going to be able to buy those properties either got really cheap money, they're putting a lot of money down, or they're just going to have to get it for a really good price. Because we're buying an apartment building now, but we bought it for an 8 cap. We're getting financed as a 6 cap at a 6% interest rate. So there's still some spread, and we're putting it on a 5-year term. And even if the interest rate does go up, I'm increasing the value of those properties so much that
because you bought right.
Because I bought right, yeah. And it's a value add project. So people that are buying these turnkey apartment buildings or apartment buildings that have very little upside for the 6 and 7, I think it's not going to look very good when they have to refinance in 5 years.
So this is I love talking about this stuff. It is a little bit higher level, I think, than maybe some people may get, but I just kind of want to explain my one metric that I think kind of gets to the heart of it. You look at a cap rate, right? And a cap rate is a number that's assigned almost like an appraiser would assign a price per square foot to a single family house to figure out what the value of this commercial property is. And when you do value add, the reason people can make so much money doing value add apartment complexes, that's why all the gurus get to sell these courses, is because you can buy an apartment complex and you can increase the income and decrease the cap rate. And when you decrease the cap rate, you're multiplying the value of the property. And so when you exit, you're just getting this multiplier effect because you lowered the cap rate. But what happens is if you buy it at a 5 cap and the cap rate goes up to 6, you're like instantly underwater, right? Your property value is going down because cap rates are going up. And that's where, like you were saying, I think, there's going to be a lot of people that are left holding the bag. If interest rates go up, cap rates go up, and then 5 years from now, they can't refi out of them.
Yeah. And that's what I'm excited.
5-year notes, right? 5 years balloons.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get commercial financing, it's a 5-year balloon. So you either got to sell or refinance. So what we're saying is in 5 years, when they come time and they wanted to hold this thing for 30 years and they look at the refinance and the interest rate they're going to say, oh shit, we got to sell, so.
And you'd steal something, right?
Exactly. So then,
it's waters.
It's going to create, like you said, it may create like a multifamily bubble where all the people who bought 5 years ago or a couple of years ago are gonna be in trouble, and it could create some more compression and create a whole lot more supply, which means prices are going to drop.
And I am not a commercial guy. I like commentating from the sidelines, but I'm definitely not an expert in this realm. But on the single family side, it's the same thing. So you talked about 1% rent to value is a good rule of thumb to get in. But I know San Antonio eats up a lot of cash flow because property taxes are higher. Yeah. Right. And then pretty much everybody that's buying these rental properties is leveraging, right? So your property taxes and your interest rate obviously are changing some of those fundamentals as well. So, it's an interesting time to see like how much this is going to affect. How do you feel about the REO market?
REO, I don't know much about it. I kind of put the people in place to just give me deals, and I don't care if it's REO, probate, or somebody just lived in there for 30 years. So I don't know. I can't comment too much about REO and that side of things.
No worries, man. At least you don't make something up, man. That's the worst. You ask somebody something that they don't know anything about and they just kind of make up an answer. But no, and I was just asking because there's the other thing that I've always heard about at these auctions. I don't know if you've ever bought at the courthouse, but the banks took a bunch of properties back, and there's a lot of bank owned. They're calling it shadow inventory, right? They like to talk about So they're wondering at what point are the banks going to start selling all that off, and then that'll increase supply.
Yeah.
And
So for me, the residential side of things is actually I have a way different perspective than the commercial side. For residential, I think we have a long way to go. Because we're buying stuff, or selling properties at 9 or 10 caps for C-class neighborhoods. And so the interest rate can keep going up. It doesn't really matter. Those things are still going to cash flow. Yeah. The other thing with residential compared with commercial is you can put a 30-year note on it. So I'm telling people to buy as much as you possibly can right now while the interest rate is 6%, because you can lock that baby in for 30 years and you're buying it at a 9 cap. It's a 3% spread on top of the cash flow that you're making. Mm-hmm. So it's a great time to buy for residential. I wouldn't slow down on, because even if you're going to wait for the market to crash, the property values are going to go down. You're going to get a great deal, but now your interest rate's going to be very high.
Yeah. I just did a video on that. It's like your long-term deal on the difference between buying a $400,000 house right now at 5, because that's what we're seeing on, traditional stuff is around 5.
Yeah.
Compared to waiting for it to go up to 434 and buying it for 6 at 6%. Is like 167,000 over the 30 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, exactly. You're gonna, the only people that are making more money are the banks, right? Yeah. So buy now while you're getting cheaper money, because if you wait, it's not like the seller is gonna make more money. The bank's gonna make more money. That's the only one that's gonna make more money.
We don't know when we're gonna see 6% again. That's the other thing. This is a very low interest rate that I would take advantage of, and I've been saying this for the last 2 years when interest rates were at 4.5. Or even lower 4. And so for residential, it's a very different story because you don't have that balloon. So it's going to be paid off in 30 years and you're going to be paying the lowest interest rate possible.
I know I'm kicking myself for not getting more of that like 4% money,
Everybody is. But that's why you gotta take action now, because when we see 4% again, I have no idea when that's going to happen.
Yeah, things got to get pretty bad to get all the way back down to 4%.
Yeah.
So, all right, give me the pitch. What is Martell Turnkey? What are you guys doing, and how's that look?
Sure. So, like I said in the beginning, we buy properties with our own money, renovate with our own money, rent those properties out, put property management company in place, and then sell those properties with a tenant in place, with renovation completed, to people who are looking for cash flow for the long term. We help you get financing, insurance. We hook you up with a bank who can get you financed. Properties are for Memphis, $70,000. For Cleveland, very similar price, $70,000 for single family. Duplexes for $80,000, $90,000, $100,000. And so for those properties, it's very inexpensive to get into one of those houses. $15,000, $20,000, you can buy your first cash flowing asset. You make $250 a month, which is anywhere from like a 13 to 17% return. So very good investments. It's a great time to buy before the interest rates do go up again. And residential does have a long way to go. We focus on neighborhoods that are up and coming, that do have some sort of appreciation. Again, I'm not going to put that in the numbers, but just know behind the scenes that I'm very targeted on my neighborhoods and on my zip codes. And you can see that on my website too, martellturnkey.com. I have all the properties there. You'll see like the same zip code over and over and over again. There's a reason why I chose that zip code. And then we can talk about that further. If anybody's interested, I could share with you why those neighborhoods. And, if you're interested in a certain property, we can especially dive in on what we did to the property, all that kind of stuff.
And then how much 1031 exchanges are you doing right now?
I have a couple of big ones. So people who own their homes in LA or own rental properties in LA, and they're selling those properties, and then they're taking all of that cash and putting it. And so I'm helping them. One guy right now, he just signed all 3 contracts. It's 3 duplexes for $90,000. He's going to put for $90,000 each, and he's going to put half of the money down to buy those things, and we're helping him with seller financing as well. So that's one 1031 we're doing. Another guy I have here has a 6 unit in Long Beach, and he's going to be selling that, and we're going to help him do a a 1031 exchange to a bigger apartment building.
How many units? Like if you're going from a 6 unit in Long Beach, what's that get you in Memphis? Like 24 or something?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because that thing's probably worth $1 million or 1.5 here. And if you do a 1031, I'm buying an apartment building in Memphis now for 20 units for $1 million. So 20 to 30 units. It just reduces the risk as long as you've got the right people in place. But the thing is, I have the right people in place. I did 30 projects in Memphis alone this year, and then in Cleveland did 20 projects over there as well. So I already have the team in place. So for those investors who are looking to cash out of their expensive market and put it in somewhere that's a little bit less expensive that hasn't popped yet, it's a great opportunity to turn over your money and multiply it.
I like it. All right, where's the best place for people to get a hold of you and find you?
So my Instagram is pretty good, I would say. My Instagram is
strong.
Yeah, Instagram strong. It's Martel Antoine, MartelAntoine. You can also email me, Antoine@martelturnkey.com, or just head over to our website. My email's there as well. But yeah, I'd love to talk to some of you guys and share with you more about what we're doing.
Good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you switching it up a little bit, talking about some investing, not this like buyer seller crap we're talking about. And it was good stuff. So thanks for coming on. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, slide into the DMs. We'll get you all the contact info you need.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, it was great to hopefully some people learn some stuff.
All right, wait, and you have a podcast.
Yeah, I do actually. I have a podcast called A Millennial's Guide to Real Estate Investing. It's on iTunes as well. So yeah, I focus on millennials who have very little money, who maybe just got out of college, have their first or second job and want to get into real estate, but have this, this imagination that you need $100,000 to invest. And it's not the case. With 15, 20 grand, you can get started in real estate and start investing.
I love it. Well, I'm going to be jumping on your podcast after this. So if you're listening to mine, check out Antoine's podcast and have some fun. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.